The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to another K4Wins. Yeah, we are live, baby. I didn't see I was on stage, so we're good to go, man. We got all four of us ready to go, as we do every Tuesday and Friday, 10 o'clock Central Time. It is August 8th, and we're doing it live on our YouTube channel, of course, also 1029 The Game, and also, of course, the digital network of Coastal as well. Thanks to Angel and Pete and the entire crew for having us on twice a week here. We got Kip Keefer up in the upper left-hand corner there. He's the executive director, chief editor of the Las Vegas Sun. We have Kip Keefer right below me. He's the executive director of the Birmingham Racecourse and Casino. And Gregory, who's been doing this stuff, handicapping for nearly over 3 decades. I'm Tony Kurre, sports radio, rock and roll radio for 40 years, and we've been remiss not to mention that it is a birthday of one Kip Keefer. Happy birthday, Kip Keefer! This morning.
Thank you.
A lot going on. You got you got yourself a new baby. How old's your kid now?
Gonna be 4 months here in just a couple days. So
4 months,
2 days, yeah.
And then you got a birthday. Well, happy birthday to you. So we've
and grandson and his first son King next week will have his 5th birthday. So August is chock full here.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Happy birthday to you, brother, and hopefully we'll have a fantastic show for you. We'll celebrate and hope you have a very special day planned with you and the entire family. Going to get a lot into it today. College football kicks off 2 weeks from tomorrow. We have about 3 or 4 different games, including a Big 12 twist in Dublin coming up here on the 23rd. And then, of course, so we've got a lot of NFL action to get into. You were just talking off air before we got on about the Raiders camp. Let's start right there because we got a guy whose nose is in that camp every single day. So it would be crazy not to find out the latest and greatest on those Las Vegas Raiders. Case, what's going on in practices? I know you mentioned it's pretty hot. This is a team that you cover as your beat writer every single year, but what's the Raiders looking like?
Yeah, I think they look pretty good. I wouldn't say I'm fully eating my words. I was kind of critical of a lot of moves they made in the offseason. I still think some of them are weird with the overall direction of the franchise. I think they're years away from probably winning a Super Bowl or competing at that level. So I thought maybe they should have done more, forward thinking down the years thing. But, you hire Pete Carroll, who's going to be the oldest coach in NFL history. He's going to want to win right away. And I think he might be in a better position to do so than most people realize. At least like the betting market, I know their win total opened 6.5. It has taken some money. Now it's up to 7. I still think they probably go over that. I'm not by a whole lot. I have them at 8 and 9 right now, but we know why the NFL is so popular. These games come down to the very end. There's these crazy endings. I feel like they could be a couple bounces away from being 9 and 8 or even 10 and 7 and competing for a wild card spot. So I think it's going to be a kind of a bounce back here for the Raiders. They'll kind of get back on track. They didn't look great last night in their preseason opener. Ended up tying 23-23 with Seattle with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll going back there, but they haven't tackled really at all in practice. It hasn't been that physical. They're trying to keep everyone healthy, which is pretty funny because it's a 180 from last year when Antonio Pierce was the coach, and he said we're going to act like it's the 1990s again. We're going to clobber the hell out of each other, and then the entire team got hurt by about week 8, and they regretted that. So they're taking an entirely different tact this year, and I do think it showed that they were a little sloppy last night, especially while the starters were in. But I'd say if you asked me, I don't know if we talked about the Raiders at all in April or May, but I probably would have been pretty negative. And I've kind of flipped. I'm pretty positive. I think my bold prediction would be I don't even think they finish in last in the AFC West. I think on paper they're clearly better than the Chargers, especially now if you followed the news yesterday, Rashawn Slater, their all-world left tackle, went down with a really bad injury. He's going to miss the whole year. Always scary to go against a Harbaugh team, but I don't really like what I've seen out of the Chargers this offseason. I think their defense has some big holes. So I think the Raiders get out of the AFC West basement.
It's going to be really interesting too. And of course, Geno Smith being the quarterback for the Raiders, the quarterback situation, we were talking previously before we started the show about some different things we wanted to get into, and I wanted to get into the quarterback talk. It seems like certainly in college football, there are so many teams that don't have quarterbacks that are pretty high, i.e. Texas and Arch Manning, who hasn't taken a snap, who saw everyone saying is going to win the Heisman Trophy. And then you got other teams that obviously have quarterbacks for the last 2 or 3 years, not picked anywhere. When it comes to the National Football League, man, just the quarterback news alone is just absolutely amazing. You're talking about Cam Ward with the Tennessee Titans. He's going to be getting to play. You're talking about Darnold leaving a 14-3 Viking squad, and now they're going to put the ball in J.J. McCarthy's hand. You're talking about Aaron Rodgers at Pittsburgh. You're talking about the Cowboys. Can Dak Prescott, is this the 12-5 Cowboys or the 7-10 Cowboys? And then you're talking about Mahomes, Lamar, and, of course, Josh Allen, the three best quarterbacks, I think, arguably in the National Football League. Who's going to win the MVP and who, of course, is going to be in the Super Bowl. And then my Cincinnati Bengals, who, by the way, the last two seasons have started 2-7 the first 9 games of the season. I thought it was really interesting. I saw Coach Zach yesterday in practice say, listen, we're going to start playing starters now. He's like, we're not waiting until week 2 or week 3 in the preseason anymore. Obviously, it takes us a while to warm up a little bit. We can't be starting 1-4 because it's killing us. They were 9-8 last season. That one game killed them. They lost some heartbreakers. He said, so we're going to come out and start playing. He said, Joe Burrow's going to throw the ball 6 or 7 times in the first series, and we're going to get these guys' feet wet. But from a starting quarterback standpoint, is this the year of the quarterback? You guys seen so many different quarterback changes, Kai, in the National Football League?
Well, I mean, one you mentioned, I think it's funny because I don't think Dallas goes as Dak Prescott goes. I think Dallas goes as Micah Parsons goes. If you look at it, I mean, if they don't re-sign him, look at their stats from last year. I think the games that he missed, they gave up over 30 points. So I think they lost either 4 or all 5 of the games that he missed. I think they go that way. But typically, yes. I mean, even with college, everybody talks about, the quarterback. That's always the main emphasis, which I think is a huge mistake. Because games are won and lost in the trenches, especially in college football. Offensive and defensive lines win games, period. They don't get any of the credit, but they're starting to get more money now, just like my boy Trey Smith from Tennessee. Kansas City locked him up, gave him, a huge contract. But it's about time that these linemen are getting paid like the skilled players. No, that's not really the way you were going, just my hot take, and I'll listen.
No, and Kip, I think he brings up a good point, and something where players haven't been getting any payment at all is the running backs. And James Cook sitting there in Buffalo right now going, hey, what about me? Why am I not getting the big-time bucks? And obviously Josh Allen would love to have him on his right or his left every time he snaps the football. But from a quarterback situation, that's certainly something that you'd like to have on your football team to start the season.
And what a difference running back has gone from the most desirable position and all of the spotlight to now it's like, we can just plug some people in there. But it's so integral in so many schemes to the passing game that I think you got to regard a running back as a tremendous weapon that can give you some options. And so that is kind of a surprising aspect. I think we've seen the beginning of the metamorphosis of offensive line, especially, and even defensive line. Let's just say guys up front with the advent of the whole kind of blindside deal where all of a sudden the left tackle became one of the most highly prized guys on a football team and the most highly compensated. But it's taken a long time for the guards and centers to kind of get to that status, and I still don't think we've gotten there. Of course, a good edge rusher or a big run stopper on defense. Kai just mentioned Micah Parsons. That those guys now, it's really interesting to watch this kind of paradigm shift of where the emphasis for teams, because it's pretty undeniable that the kind of guys I just described, I agree with Kai. You've got to have a great quarterback to run the show, but those supporting cast, you can look at Alabama the last couple of years. Everybody said that they're going to have such an awesome offensive line, and every year they underperform because they got into this kind of obsession with size over overall competence, and they were so slow-footed. The line last year that everybody was so high on for Alabama, well, they got everybody coming back. Yeah, they had everybody coming back from a line that gave up 52 sacks to a mobile quarterback the year before. Experience isn't necessarily the deal. You've got to put the right combination of guys in, and in the trenches is critical now.
Patrick Mahomes won 14 games last year. 14 was a 14
running for his life. Yeah,
running for his life. He was sacked 36 times last year, which is by far the most he's ever been sacked in a particular year. Yet he still won 14, 15 games. The amazing thing about Patrick Mahomes too is they won 12 of those games by one score. I know certainly case when you're talking about teams that look like they're going to blow teams out week in and week out just because their quarterback play. But if you were on the other side, I don't know I forget what the spread was against KC. It had to be under 500. If you went against KC every week last week, you were a winner chicken dinner. They won a lot of games, but didn't cover hardly anything. And it's going to be interesting because you got Kelsey coming back. He looks a little slower. You got Andy Reid, obviously. He always looks slow. Then you got Patrick Mahomes, who's not even 30 years of age. Has the window started to close a little bit on the Kansas City Chiefs?
I don't necessarily think so. Just because if you have Patrick Mahomes, I think the window is always going to be open until he's probably in at least his probably late 30s, but maybe mid 30s. That being said, I think I talked about it the last time, but I am a little down on the Chiefs. You nailed it last year they just won so many ridiculous games. I mean, they had I think the Bengals might have doubled their point differential, and they won 5 or 6 more games than the Bengals, for instance. So, I'm certainly never going to downplay and say the Chiefs have no chance. I think every year Mahomes is there, you got to throw them in the mix. But I think you're definitely right about Kelsey. I don't think he's he's the same at all, and I don't think he's the kind of guy you can rely on anymore. I mean, the last couple of years, they've really just tried to save him for the playoffs, and he's still useful. I'm not saying he's a terrible player, but he's not like the game changer he is anymore. They have all these receivers coming back, but Hollywood Brown's already hurt. The only one I'd be really excited about is Rashee Rice because he was so good at the beginning of last year, but he's going to have a suspension for all his run-ins he's had down.
Yeah, he's had a few.
Last summer. So yeah, I'm definitely down on the Chiefs, but I'm just, I guess just for lack of better words, being scared of Patrick Mahomes. I'm kind of just taking an agnostic approach. I don't have, I haven't bet against them in any way. I haven't bet their under win total. I haven't even bet another team to win the division. I'm just kind of staying away from them. I definitely won't have any pro Kansas City bets, but as of right now, I don't have any anti either.
And Kai, I'd love to ask you too. In the National Football League, obviously the Eagles ended up getting the Super Bowl last year, and there's an opportunity they'll be playing KC again for another Super Bowl this year. Do you like the Philadelphia squad to replicate and have another Super Bowl win under their belt, or do you think KC bounces back?
I don't think KC's there. I like Baltimore to win it all this year. I am super high on that team over anybody else in the NFL. I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry put it together this year. I like some of the things they did. They didn't make a lot of moves, but I like some of the things they shored up defensively and some of the changes they made. So I really like that team. And I want the Philadelphia Eagles to lose just so, they bring Erin Kate Dolan on TV again, and she's not with that stupid smile she always has on her face talking about it. I know how much you love to watch her, but it's more fun watching her pout than her be positive about anything Philadelphia.
I don't care what she does with her face. She looks good on my television. I don't really care what she could be bald for all I care. I'm playing her plays. I'm good. Thank you very much.
So this hairdo on her would still look good.
Oh yeah, she does nothing wrong for me. The lips are so far and above everything else on that face. I'm good to go. No, it's funny because we're really not talking a lot about the Eagles. Are we? I mean, I'm not hearing anything about the Eagles.
I think they're just such a given now that because they're pretty stacked. I don't think they're really a great team to speculate because it's hard for me to imagine. And in the NFL, I guess that's a stupid statement because you never know what you're going to get year to year. But this team looks to me like they're poised for another big run right from day one. They just look like they've got it all together, and the way they finished the season last year and just demolished the Chiefs, that was an ominous warning that we're here to stay for a while.
There's no doubt, and they did it with every facet.
Oh, it was unbelievable beatdown.
Jalen Hurts didn't have to go 31 or 40 in that game at all, which is a scary proposition because they're stacked. Obviously with Saquon Barkley and everything else they got going on that football team. I wanted to ask Case too about the lines. I love talking National Football League. We're going to jump into it a lot more deeper coming up next Friday because obviously we're going to be making some cuts down to the 53-man roster. But and I mentioned this question earlier, and I'm seeing more and more. Some people are saying that the Lions window is closed, and I thought it just opened. And a lot of people are talking about this was just a flash in the pan. This squad is, despite the fact they won so many games, they came within one snap of going to their first Super Bowl ever. Will the Lions go to the Super Bowl this year?
Well, if I remember right from last week, I think we're probably going to disagree about this one a little bit. I was really on the fence. I was having a tough time deciding who I like in the NFC, to be honest. I mean, the Eagles are going to be good. They're going to be in the playoffs. But honestly, I sound a little bit more bearish than you guys. I mean, they did lose a lot of guys off that defense. Josh Sweat was arguably the best player in the Super Bowl. He's gone. Milton Williams is gone. They even had some guys get hurt earlier in the playoff run. They're coming back, like Nakobe Dean. I will say that they just traded for the Raiders' best cornerback, which I don't think the Raiders should be giving up their best cornerback because that's their weakest position. But the Raiders shipped Ja'Cory and Bennett to them earlier this week. He a really good player, had a great start to last year before he got hurt. Just a little too small. And Pete Carroll, like, you have to be a cookie cutter, exactly look like this to be able to play. So he was like playing on the third string at Raiders training camp, although he still looked like the best cornerback to me. You don't want to be trading with the Eagles either because they have the best personnel department. It seems like they always know who they're going for. So I'm not saying they're going to be bad or anything, but I do think that I think it's going to be tough to hit the highs of last year. That defense was so locked in by the end of the year. I think with about half of the defense turning over, some of the other guys hurt, I think you probably see a moderate step back there. And as good as Saquon Barkley was, obviously unbelievable offensive player of the year, that was like the first season in 3 or 4 years that he stayed healthy the whole time. With the miles they put on him, I think you got to expect him to miss a game or two. So I think they'll still be good, but the Commanders and what Jaden Daniels did, I'm not even writing it in as a given that they win the division. I think Washington will be up there too, which all brings me to the long preamble saying it in the NFC. I think because of the Lions losing their coordinators and I don't know, people still being skeptical of Dan Campbell, I think we kind of lost sight of how dominant this team was last year.
Oh, they were crazy good.
I mean, they weren't just beating people. They weren't just 14-2. They were beating people by like 30 points, 3 touchdowns. They were just absolutely stomping people. And I do think Ben Johnson is a huge loss. I think the offense will take a little bit of step back. But you talk to Lions people and even look at the numbers, like Aaron Glenn was nothing special as a defensive coordinator. They weren't very good on that side of the ball. And then by the end of the year in the playoffs, I think they had one starter from the beginning of the year. They had literally a historic injury hit last year going into the playoffs. When Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, he was the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year, which really hurt me because I had him, I think, 18-1 or something. Now, in training camp, all the rave is that he looks like he's completely back, and he looks incredible. That's still, it's hard for me to fully dive in because that injury was so bad, it was so terrible. Obviously, he got carted off, and guys were crying. But if he's back even to a little bit of what he flashed at the beginning of last year, combined with the rest of this defense, just having guys back. I mean, they were signing cornerbacks off the street to start in that game against the Commanders.
They literally were.
Yeah, I've landed super high on the Lions, I think, since the last time we've talked. And I'm kind of alone on this. Their prices have really drifted up. Everything for me is always so price dependent. At Circa earlier this week, they got to 14-1 to win the Super Bowl and 7-1 to win the NFC. And I just I couldn't wait any longer. So I bought in on the Lions. I don't think I have anything on the win total. I bet a little bit on the division, but I did play Super Bowl and conference just because I thought that got way too high. I think for the season as a whole last year, they were the best team in the NFC, even though they got upset. And they're going to be returning to health this year. We'll see if the offense takes a step back, but I honestly think that the defense could be a little bit better.
Kip, jump back into the quarterback play because there's so much good stuff out there. The Vikings preseason and ESPN's pulled their rankings. They think of Vikings number 6. And, of course, you're talking about J.J. McCarthy being your quarterback now. Did they make a mistake by getting rid of Darnold, who, of course, is 14-2? He'd never been a flashy kind of guy, but listen, they won 14 games under his tutelage last year. Justin Herbert, a lot of people say this is the best quarterback that's never really shown up yet. He's certainly been in the league only on for 5 years, but with the Chargers, then of course you got Bo Nix, the Broncos. Is this Matthew Stafford's last year with the Rams? We go on and on and on with the quarterback play. But we miss anything?
And you've mentioned so many good ones, but I mean, I'm thinking about a couple guys who had exceptional years last year. I don't think C.J. Stroud gets enough attention. I think this guy in his 3rd year coming up? Yeah. I think he could just really explode to the next level this year. And there's a lot of good pieces in that Texans setup. I think another guy that's underappreciated that really isn't the prototype quarterback, but he wins a lot of games with not a lot of talent around him. I think Kyler Murray is another guy that you got to talk about. There's so many quarterbacks in this league. It is kind of the league of the quarterback again. I'm high on Jordan Love in Green Bay. I didn't think he progressed as much as I thought he would last year, but I still think he's poised to really come into his own. I see every article about quarterbacks talks about Caleb Williams, and maybe he's a budding superstar, but I still. He's going to, I'm not from Missouri, but he's going to have to show me that he can do it on the NFL level. So there are so many good quarterback stories. You're absolutely right. It's fascinating coming into the year to see how all that's going to go. And I can't wait for him to kick it off.
No, Brock Purdy is another one of those guys we haven't really mentioned. I'm so glad you brought up. Yeah, here's a guy that just wins multiple games, double-digit games every single year. They traded 17 players, by the way, during this offseason. So the 49ers may look like a totally different football team, but they still got their quarterback play. They still got their running backs.
So, guys, what Case, you might have more knowledge on this because you're out west, but the Matthew Stafford situation with the Rams, what are they going to do? His back is supposedly a lot more serious than they diagnosed initially.
I think there was a positive update, though, if you can call it that, yesterday. I think Sean McVay said that he does expect him to practice next week.
Okay,
but I'm with you overall. I'm still skeptical about the whole thing. I mean, Matthew Stafford is my age. He's had every injury in the book. Has yet to be on the practice field this week. I know he had an epidural earlier this week. I mean, back stuff isn't something that just goes away.
No.
So I mean, I fully expect him to be back out there starting week 1. But if you had to bet, is he going to play a full season this year at this point with all we're hearing about his back? I think that's got to be a long shot. And I will say a lot of these over-under stat future bets have become very popular. It's not something I bet a whole lot of. But my biggest advice on Stafford is like a good example why is like it's just better to bet under on all of these because it's so hard to play 17 games in the modern NFL. I think Stafford's passing total, I saw someone point out, it's like 3,650 yards. I think to me that's like if you like these types of bets, which I don't really. I focus more on win totals and team stuff and awards. I think that would be an easy under for me because even if he's ready to go at the beginning of the year, I have a hard time believing he plays a full season.
My boy just walked in and said, Baker Mayfield. It's like I only forgot about him too. It is crazy, man.
We could do a 7-hour show just on quarterbacks.
We really could. And I know we have a lot of Falcons fans here, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Penix Jr. situation turns out to like. They got Kirk Cousins over there, and he's like, am I going to be playing? Is Penix going to be playing? And, of course, you got the Cleveland Browns, who I just love. They've got like 16 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We have quarterbacks to play with. It's going to be unbelievable. Bryce Young with the Panthers, Deshaun Watson, is he going to be back? It's going to go on and on and on. It's going to be a great season. I can't wait for the National Football League. We'll break it down even more going on next Friday as we get closer to the National Football League season. We are 2 weeks away from college football kicking off tomorrow. We're going to jump into that right now. We were all over the place the last couple of weeks only because we like to be all over the place. So we were talking about the Big 12, and we were talking about the Big 10, we were talking about the SEC. Anything happened in the last couple of weeks, Kai, that's kind of made you tweak your ears? Because you and I went through we went through a lot of the SEC. We went through a lot of just playing football teams, both professional and college, and win totals this past week. You and I did a show. But anything else change over the last few days that kind of surprised you?
Man, I haven't seen a lot. I think, one of the biggest changes for all of us, and if you've listened to this, is going to be the new definition of length and girth.
Yes,
exactly. And how people are going to describe that in football moving forward. So, I digress. For me, it's seeing the beginning discussions of all these teams. And I will tell you that even as high as we talked about, you and I did Tuesday, Oklahoma, everything I've heard about Oklahoma this week has been even better. And it really worries me for the Oklahoma fans because they sound like Texas, and they're not Texas. I don't think Oklahoma is going to be in the playoffs, personally, and they're not Oklahoma of 10 years ago or what have you. But all of the sounds, everything coming out of Oklahoma is how Oklahoma's going to win 10 games and they're back, and that's just one SEC school talking about it.
I think a lot of people thought that Brent Venables is going to be successful at this level, realizes that he's got to be successful this year or else he's probably going to be looking for the job. He's right now, I think Trent Dilfer is just in front of him on the scale of on coach's hot seat, 1 to 5. 5 is the hottest. He's like at a 4.7, and Dilfer's at a 4.8. So yeah, they're both going to be looking for some help if in fact they can't do particularly well. We had Aldo Greco, who's just a great friend of our show. He's going to join us tomorrow on ABC 3340 starting lineup, and got a chance to talk before the show about your girth and your length.
Yes.
And Kip, I'm going to let you talk about he's an Auburn guy. He's an Auburn guy true and through and through. He loves Auburn for a lot of reasons. He played 20 years in the National Football League. When I first started doing a radio show with him, he was top 10 in the National Football League in points scored totals. I mean, this guy could be a Hall of Famer. And we throw out the Auburn Tigers, and it gets kind of quiet, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he waxes poetic and tries to maintain optimism. And I know several Auburn fans very well that every year they kind of try to look on the bright side. They're so hopeful that this is finally going to be the breakthrough. But I'm not a Hugh Freeze guy. I thought it was a bad hire when he came on board. A lot of people thought he was the perfect fit in the good old boy network down there. But, Al did not disagree with me in saying that Hugh Freeze has become a Saturday Night Live skit. Every time he opens his mouth, he says something more ridiculous than the day before. And the whole dissertation last week about length and girth, I understand there's another soundbite this week, and I haven't been able to go back and listen to his press conference. But, the guy, it just seems like he just is a professional at building potential excuses why in one breath he says how much improved they are and he really likes this team and the sky's the limit. But then the very next line is a disclaimer of, well, you never know how it's going to go and you don't know how it's going to equate to wins and losses. Hugh, this just in, wins and losses is how you're measured, not whether you improve. If they don't become wins instead of losses, then I don't care how much you think your personnel's better. Then if your personnel's that much better, I think what Hugh's doing is pretty much building his own platform for execution, because if he keeps talking up how good his personnel is and they don't win, eventually the eyes are going to be cast upon him. So I just think Hugh Freeze is a guy that is living off beating Nick Saban 2 years in a row back whenever that was 10 or 12 years ago. And I also point out that, everybody said, well, he was phenomenal at Liberty. Well, Liberty's been just as on the same level since Hugh's departure as when he was there. So was it you, or was it just the fact that Liberty has the money and the expertise of getting some guys to come play there, playing against really inferior competition on that level of football? So I am just not buying the Hugh Freeze hype.
If you look at it, that everybody's talking about this is supposed to be Auburn's most talented team, in the last 20 years. Talking with him, but if you look at their schedule, how do they get to the wins? I mean, opening up at Baylor, they opened as I think it was 3. It got all the way down to Baylor minus a half. I think Auburn's back to a 2-point favorite. So I think
it's still a major toss up. Yeah.
So let's forget about that game. We can talk about that, as you get in there. But then they have Ball State at home. They're probably going to beat Ball State, right?
I would hope so, yeah.
Then at home against South Alabama, they'll probably win that game. So you got 2 wins. Then they go to Oklahoma.
Yep.
Everybody's high on Oklahoma. I really think Oklahoma's defense is going to be good. I think Oklahoma wins that game.
That's a pivotal game, because the loser of that game is probably going to identify themselves as a non-contender. That's one of those ones, the survivor is going to be kind of in the hunt, and the loser is going to be kind of cast away.
And that's September 20th. So you're talking about, you're 4 weeks into the season. And so but then after Oklahoma, they go to Texas A&M.
The very next week, yeah.
Which is not going to be an easy road. And then they come home, they have a week off, and they host Georgia. Now, we all know weird things happened in Jordan-Hare in November against Georgia. Now they're playing them in October, and I just don't think Auburn's going to have the firepower, even though I'm not as high on Georgia as some other people here are. Then the next week they host Missouri. So if you have them losing to Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia, are they going to beat Missouri? It just if
Yeah.
that happens,
If they're sliding
what is,
like that, yeah.
What is the mindset going to be after 3 straight losses in Auburn? And imagine they lose Baylor and they're sitting at 2-4, and then they go to Arkansas. Then they've got a nice 2 weeks. They host Kentucky. Then they go to Vandy, which Diego Pavia has run his mouth more than anybody in the history of college football, just in the last couple of weeks even. And I don't know that Pavia will even make it to that game because it comes after Alabama. He's run his mouth about Alabama just like he has Tennessee, but way worse about Tennessee. And if he gets through the Auburn game, he's going to get broken in half at Tennessee because,
I love it. I love it. I love listen, he's a Vanderbilt kid. He's not playing at the next level. He doesn't give a shit. I mean, he's having a
Mexico State kid.
He's having a good time. He's got tape on his glasses. He doesn't give a squat. This is their only opportunity to gloat, and so he's going to gloat all he wants. So have at it.
And you have to say he owns Auburn. He's beaten them twice at Jordan-Hare back-to-back years.
The one thing though, we should step back a little bit though. We did this exactly with the Auburn Tigers last year, and some of us had them going maybe 5-0. There's a possibility that Auburn could be 5-0 going into week 6.
5 straight home games.
It's set up beautifully for that squad. They had Thorne coming in. He had some reps behind him. Everyone thought, okay, this is the Auburn Tigers. This is supposed to be the best Auburn Tigers in 20 years. You have your first 5 games at home. You don't
same hype. Yep.
Same hype. And guess what? They went 2-3. So I do think I totally agree with you, Kip. I think that Oklahoma game is going to be huge, but I think it's all in Arnold's hands. We're going to find out this Arnold kid's for real. He's supposed to be a fantastic quarterback. If Hugh Freeze can mentor him to the standpoint, and certainly Hugh Freeze has been pretty good around his quarterbacks, not only at Liberty, but also certainly at Ole Miss back in his day. If he can do some special things with Arnold, like to stay healthy, I think everything's going to go the way Arnold's going to go. And I hate that for the Auburn Tigers because, again, you're one rolled uphill from having another lousy football season for the Auburn Tigers. I just wonder, and I've talked to several people down there that got a lot of money. All they're saying down there is all we needed was another $10 million to get Lane Kiffin.
Wow.
It's all they needed was another $10 million to get Lane Kiffin. And listen, right now that's looking like a pretty good hire at Ole Miss. So we'll see what happens.
Case, what is your research? I know you're more of an analytical guy. What do you think about Auburn?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did all my numbers like months ago at this point. Now it's been interesting, like being around the NFL and getting to talk to people just around the sport that are plugged in. It's interesting these two teams come up together because I've kind of grouped them together all year and saying that I think there's a huge tail to both the positive and negative outcomes with Oklahoma and Auburn. But I'd say in the last week or so talking to people, there are two teams that I've heard a lot of positives about. I talked to someone that from Auburn or around the Raiders. I think last week, and I said basically exactly what you guys were saying. I said, I understand, but there's a lot of indicators pointing up the talent level, some of the crazy things that went against them last year. I think they were like last in the nation in fumble recovery rate or something like that. I was like, but I just don't buy Hugh Freeze. And this guy's message was like, don't let the sideshow of Hugh Freeze take you away. He might not be the best coach in the nation, but he's still fine and he has enough to work there. I do think a lot of the weird Hugh Freeze things, he's kind of trying to hedge a little bit. I think he likes his team, but he's clumsily not trying to set expectations too high, and it's backfiring on him. I have no pro Auburn bets, but I have heard just so much about Eric Singleton that he's like just going to be that he's the real deal and that he got paid more than anyone in the transfer portal, and the teams are tripping over themselves to get him, so to really watch out for him. Kai just alerted me. That Baylor game when that got, I think one place here got all the way to Baylor 3, and months ago, I said to bet Baylor +3. And then when it got to Baylor -3, I thought that was ridiculous. Just talent-wise, I wanted to bet Auburn +3. Clearly, I missed that. Now it is back to 2.5. So I don't know. It's just bouncing around everywhere. I feel like both Auburn and Oklahoma teams that I could I could easily see either of them making the playoff with the type of guys they have on the roster, the talent level. And I could easily see either of them going like 4-8 and 5-7, the wheels just coming off, all these new guys quitting. It's going to be really fascinating to watch those two teams. I will say, while you guys were talking about coaches getting fired, I was so intrigued. And I usually don't like these markets because you can't get much money down. They're mostly offshores where it's not. But I had to look up college football first coach fired odds.
Oh, wow.
The Tony Kurre useless trivia today, because I'll give a $100 free roll to anyone that can name the favorite in this market. This is only power conference schools. I'm going to tell you Brent Venables is the second choice 6-1 to be the first coach fired in the Power 4 conferences. Sam Pittman is the third choice at 7-1. Hugh Freeze is the fifth choice at 8-1. The number one choice is not in the SEC, and I don't even know why I'm giving you $100 free. There's no way any of you guys are getting this, but anyone have a guess who's the
Wow, that's
conference coach first to be fired?
So obviously it's not Mike Norvell, because I would think his seat's pretty hot.
Norvell 15-1, so he's
okay. You're not even close. So I can't imagine who it might be. I'll get Luke Fickell.
No, he's on there too, but he's a little bit further down.
I'm done guessing.
It is Arizona's Brent Brennan at 4-1.
Oh gosh, and he's only his second year.
Yeah, it'd be kind of a quick. I don't know what's going on at Arizona.
Where did he come from to start with? I don't even know his background.
San Jose State, where they have no resources, like the worst program in the Mountain West,
and they were competitive. Yeah.
So I don't know. That seems like a quick. That seems like it would be a quick cut to me. But he is the favorite in this market.
That's pretty funny. We've seen several articles come out of the last few days just about some of the great storylines in college football. And again, every single year, it seems like it's a new year, and it's always going to be the most exciting college football year we've ever seen. And that's what I love about it. We're talking about the Arch Manning situation, Georgia, Alabama falling off. Big Ten's won the last 2 national titles. Bill Belichick, is that a joke? No one can tell whether they're going to win 3 games or whether they're going to 10 games. It kind of feels like a little Deion Sanders kind of things to me. It kind of feels like with Bill Belichick there in North Carolina, is he going to come in, just switch the light on? Next thing you know, they're going to be winning some football games because he's won 6 Super Bowls. Clemson, are they doing it the right way without going to the transfer portal? Who are going to be the CFP Cinderellas this year? Is it going to be Tulane? Is Indiana going to be back? SMU, are they going to be there? There's also going to be, and I thought this was pretty interesting too. Someone else brought it up, and I actually got an email, info@TonyKurreRadio.net. They want us to talk about there's a brand new penalty, I guess, for phantom injuries this year that's going down in the college laws, which I was not aware of, that's coming down. So evidently, if you come out to a football player on the football field after the ball has been placed, you're automatically given a timeout, even if your player is not banged up. So if you're going to get banged up and you're going to go down quick. Do not let that ball get placed before you do that. So that's a brand new penalty. But anything else in college football? And I'll start with you, Kip. We'll go around the horn real quick, and then we'll get some Major League Baseball. Anything else to you surprising you in college football?
Well, we talked about the theme of the year of potentially the quarterback in the NFL. I'm amazed if you look at the top 20 polls that we've already been privy to, the coaches being the most recent. How many of those teams are breaking in a brand new quarterback? I don't think we've had a season like this in quite a while. All these major contenders are everybody just making the blind leap. And of course, Texas is the extreme example. Just because his name is Manning, everybody assumes Arch Manning's going to be phenomenal. His grandfather, Archie Manning, who could play a little bit, I saw was quoted as saying, the fact that Arch is the favorite in the Heisman Trophy is absolutely absurd. He's played, 2 games? But you look at so many of these top contenders, so many teams are going to have new quarterbacks. To me, that's really the drama of the college football season. Which one of these guys are going to be able to step in and play right away? And some of them are not going to be who they're hyped to be. And that to me, coming in the SEC especially, there's only about 3 established quarterbacks coming back. Everybody's pretty much going with a brand new guy. And, I think that's going to be a big determining factor in the season, which one of these guys are going to step up and be who they're expected to be.
Case, what's your Heisman Trophy look like right now? Has anything changed there at the top? I know everyone's talking about, I don't think anyone had Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy last year, and he certainly did. Kip Keefer was right there in the mix. Is it still Arch Manning at the top? And what's your thoughts on some things going on in college football?
Yeah, well, I had Travis Hunter 60-1 last year, so that was pretty good.
How the hell did you have Travis Hunter going 60-1 last year? What did you see?
Well, I actually was anti him. Probably, if you would have asked me at this time last year, maybe you could dig up and I'd say, "Oh, it's all hype. It's ridiculous." Then I think it was the first game against North Dakota State, and he just looked unbelievable on both sides of the ball. And I think Colorado even barely pulled out that game. But I was like, man, they looked so much better than they did the year before. I was like, I actually think this team's going to be good. I started shopping around, and it was as simple as that. Some of the like market making books, I think he was already at like 20 or 25 to 1. Which are taking probably bigger bets and probably have more informed actions. Then when I saw a stale 60 to 1, I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this, and ultimately glad I did, because I was
Nice.
he ended up barely beating Ashton Genty, though, who I had nothing on, so that could have gone either way. I haven't looked at the Heisman super closely this year, just because like this week. Just because I've made quite a few bets, and I'm not really looking to add at this moment. I know I talked about last week that Ty Simpson took a ton of action. I know that's still true. He went from like 66 to like 15 to 1 some places. I guess if I had to guess where it's moved this week, I don't think there's anything to it. I do kind of believe LSU's account, but I'm sure you heard the rumors that Nussmeier supposedly got hurt in practice, and there were some hours there where they were saying it's a serious knee injury. He's done. We saw Clemson steam all the way to a 4.5 point favorite in week 1. And I'm guessing he probably raised in the Heisman with 2, which is not something I really like to see, because I think Nussmeier is the lowest odds guy I bet. I think I bet him like 12 to 1 or something when it opened. He's the quarterback I'm most confident in if he's healthy. I will say there's been some rumblings that LSU's offensive line isn't looking that good, and maybe that's part of the reason he got hurt. Some overzealous defensive line pounded into his knee. So a little bit worried about that. But yeah, Nussmeier is the lowest odds guy, I bet, to win the Heisman. It's a little weird too. To add, Kip made a good point. I definitely agree. It's a lot of unproven commodities at quarterback, a lot of new guys. I also think it's strange to me, whereas in the Heisman, I typically in college football now, I want a guy that can do both, that's going to run and get a bunch of yards with his legs and throw. But really, to me, the best quarterbacks, the most proven commodities we have coming back are pocket passers. Nussmeier certainly fits that. I know Klubnik's a little bit more mobile, but he put up big numbers. I know you guys don't like Drew Aller, but I thought he was unbelievable last year, except for in the biggest games. I admit he was bad.
And he threw for less than 200 yards in all 4 of their quote big games. So I still think he's got a lot to prove.
He's a pocket guy. So and Aller and Nussmeier were the 2 that I really targeted, which makes me feel a little unsure, because they don't move all that well. But I think we're kind of seeing a turn back to pocket passers just because of who these guys at the top of the sport are. And hopefully Nussmeier won't hurt that bad.
You guys, Kai, weigh in on this too. Julian Sayin at Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State is all lofty, pick number 1 by some people, number 2 in other polls. But I mean, what do we really know about Julian Sayin?
Not much. I think we know more about Arch than we do him.
And CJ Carr at Notre Dame hadn't played at all.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting, and that's one of the games I really look forward to, that Texas Ohio State game, because Ohio State lost 18 tons, including coaches, and I think that's huge going into week 1. My biggest thing, because I'm kind of old school, I want to see who's going to be the Ashton Genty, the Cam Scattaboo, who's going to be those guys this year, who's going to be who's going to be able to line it up and run it on anybody they want, like Notre Dame and Penn State should be able to do with the stud backfields they have. That's what I want to see, that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing Tennessee's running back core, because I really think Bishop has gotten a lot bigger and has a good chance to do some damage at Tennessee, and he's going to have to, especially if the quarterback race is as tight there as I think. And right now, I think if they had to name a starter today, it'd be Merklinger at Tennessee. It would not be Aguilar.
That would be surprising. Yeah.
Only because we have not had a 1 versus 2 during a regular season in 19 years. I did want to get into the Texas-Ohio State game. I'm afraid, Case, you can certainly just give us the numbers. I'm afraid this could be one of those games where both teams are going to try to feel each other out. We know Texas got a great offense. We know Ohio State just won a national title, and obviously they've got a lot coming back as well. But it feels like this is going to be, and again, with their quarterback play, who knows? It feels like it's going to be kind of sloppy first half. This is not going to be 2 great teams in the middle of the season that are just humming along, going up and down the field and just beating the hell out of each other. I have a feeling it's going to be a little ugly early. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've seen Ohio State kind of hold steady as a 2.5 point favorite here the last couple of weeks, and that seems about right to me. I mean, I think being in Columbus, I certainly would pick them to win, but I don't think it's a runaway. I am really worried about turning over both coordinators, especially to me, even more Jim Knowles than Chip Kelly. I think people forget how bad Ohio State's defense was till Knowles arrived. I think he really is like the top defensive tactician in college football. So I worry about that. All that being said, the one thing we have seen steady money on is the under. I see now we're as low as 47.5, which kind of fits with your theory of it's going to kind of be a more cagey game that maybe both teams aren't going to be looking to make a mistake. I'll be interested to see if it is saying that's starting for Ohio State, because I know Ryan Day came out yesterday and said that the competition's coming absolutely down to the wire. I forget the other kid's name, but whatever 5-star freshman they had. And then I know there was some debate of, is he being truthful or is this or is this real? And there's still a sense saying we'll get it, but supposedly the other kid's a lot better dual threat, can get out of the pocket a little bit more, to go back to what I was talking about before. So I think Texas, we kind of know more who's going to be out there. I'm still not fully sold on Texas either.
Me neither.
For being number one and number two, I don't love either of these teams, but I'm excited to see how the game plays out.
I mean, Texas opens at Ohio State. They have to go to Athens and play Georgia. They have to go to Gainesville and play Florida. And they've got the huge rivalry games with Oklahoma and Texas A&M. I can easily see Texas losing 3 games this year.
Yeah, Lincoln Conholz is the other quarterback that everyone keeps talking about, that no one's talking about. And I got friends and family that go to Ohio State. I got a brother of mine that works up there at the university. They're just using Conholz right now just as a toy. It's saying it's job to win or lose, and they're just throwing that name out there to make him think that he's actually got a shot. He doesn't, and it's going to keep saying. But saying needs to keep his mouth shut too. He's a talker too, so he's getting after it.
I would agree with you on the surface, but I will say I heard the 2 college football reporters I respect the most in the sport said this is real. It could not be saying.
Wow.
So, we'll see.
They've lost both running backs too. I don't know who's going to run the ball for them this year. I'm sure they've got some 5-star, guys, but I want to see these teams. All this preseason guessing it amuses me, because a lot of people like me at this point, because I haven't seen the teams. This is all just speculation.
No, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Miami. I mean, for the first week of the football season, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And listen, it is a 1 versus 2. I don't think that's going to be by far the best game we see all weekend, but it is 1 versus 2, which is pretty cool. So we're looking forward to that. All right, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Check out our website at K4Winners on X. And, of course, special thanks to fine folks at 102.9 The Game. Of course, the digital network here on the wonderful Coastal folks. They do great work. Coastal Sports Network. Thank you to, of course, Angel, now the digital network. We greatly appreciate them having us on every single week. Let's talk some Major League Baseball. We got about 45 to 50 games. It won't be long before it starts getting a little brisk outside and starts cooling off a little bit right now. Jays, Tigers, and, of course, the Phils, the Brewers, the Dodgers, Red Sox, Mariners, Yankees, Cubs, Pods, Mets. They're all in the Stros. They're all in the playoffs as of right now. Tell us how we did last week, Kai, before we check into some Major League Baseball plays.
Well, I mean, just since the show, Tuesday, what's crazy is Tuesday we talked about 6 games. We gave out 6 plays on the show. Tuesday we went 5-1.
Awesome.
Including Boston on the run line with Garrett Crochet pitching, which you should pretty much just always take anyway. 8-3 online since then, but we're 6-12, 339 and 4 year to date now. Not too shabby.
That's very good.
We jumped into a lot of or jumping into baseball real quick. Something I found, I really get into these later in the year because I think you can pull this up. Tony, you can't answer this because we talked about it. How many teams in Major League Baseball, Kip and Case, have winning records against left-handed pitching?
Oh, that's an interesting stat.
I would have no idea. I'm going to guess that it's low because of the way you're saying
it.
7?
I was going to say 5.
Okay. 20 teams have losing records. So 11 have winning records.
Okay.
Only 10 have losing records against right-handers. So it's some of these things that you want to look at and you get into as you're going through baseball and looking at the divisions. Who has winning records versus the division? Who has winning records? For interleague, those kind of things. It kind of blows my mind looking at some of these things, knowing, Boston, my team, for instance, is 20-13 against their division. But the Yankees are 14-19.
Yeah,
that's the thing we look at. Boston has the tiebreaker if it comes down to a tie in the AL East versus every team right now. I mean, that's just right now. So if anybody would have said that, there is no way anybody would have believed that. I think I had a thing that I think it was June 6th that Boston was 30-35, and they were like 10 games out. And now they're I can't remember their record, but yeah, I mean now they're 64-52, 12 games. So in 2 months they've changed, and they're turned around by 17 games. It's phenomenal. Looking at it, even seeing Milwaukee, how well they have played, and then only 2 teams with run differentials that we always talk about now. Cleveland is 59-55, but they're a negative 23 run differential, and I don't think Tampa Bay is ever going to get changed. They're 57-59, and they're still plus 47 runs.
That's crazy. I just watched the 3-game series in Atlanta with Milwaukee, and I have not understood all in the last couple of months how this team continues to win every day. After watching that series, now I get it. This team's approach is so unique in this day and age. They maximize every scoring opportunity they get. They do the little things, and I know it's not cool. Chicks dig the long ball and all that stuff, but the bottom line is the Brewers move runners. The Brewers put the ball in play. They don't strike out when they have people on base. All the things the Braves have done this year to just put themselves in the garbage disposal. Milwaukee plays the game so efficiently. I was amazed. I mean, every time they get guys on base, they move runners up. They do the little things you got to do. They hit the ball to the right side of the infield when they need to. They really cut down on their swings. They're not worried about their stats. They're playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, and they're getting good pitching from guys that you really don't know a whole lot about. So I color me impressed after watching 3 games in that series, because I was scratching my head of how a team on paper that doesn't look like they have great personnel, they're playing the game the right way.
They've had that pitching staff together from Woodruff, Peralta. They've had those guys
Woodruff
together for quite some time.
Huge.
It really was, and you're spot on, man. I mean, they're not sexy, they're not long ball hittish, but I mean, much like the Atlanta Braves, just the opposite, man. RASP, man. When they get runners in scoring position, they figure out a way to get them in. And the Brewers right now ranked number 3 in the National League as far as in best average in runners in scoring position. They got the best record in Major League Baseball right now.
And they have the best run differential in Major League Baseball.
It's unbelievable.
Which is kind of crazy. We have just a couple minutes left here. Any baseball news going on the rest of the week you guys want to get into? We'll be back on Tuesday morning. Of course, we're getting nitty-gritty, really close to college football season. We can't wait to do shows on every Tuesday and Friday at 10 o'clock Central and be giving you plays during the show so you can actually listen to us on our YouTube channel where it's live. And, of course, it's also live on the digital network there, Coastal Digital Network. And you can also go back and listen to all of our podcasts. We're available on every major industry out there through Tony Kurre Radio. But anything else going on in Major League Baseball you guys want to get into as we get ready for a big weekend?
Well, this just in, and I'd like some analysis. The Mets suck. What's the hell's going on with the Mets? They got swept by the Guardians at home.
Yeah,
that's a great question. I mean, they
got 3 of the highest paid guys in the world on that team.
They're 2-8 their last 10. They're not hitting the ball. Their pitching is awful. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things. And their defense isn't great. And for the Mets, they're again, like you were talking about, Milwaukee doing the little things. The Mets don't. If they don't hit the long ball, it's kind of like the Yankees. They don't hit the long ball, they don't win. You know, the thing that I'm most interested to see is this changes all the time. There's only 9 teams in baseball that have winning road records, and 5 of those teams are on the road this weekend. If they go 1-2, they don't have a winning record in baseball.
How about that? There you have it. K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Check out our website. You can hop on there and check out all of our plays. And, of course, we're just trying to build up a little bit of a pocket roll here, if we will, bankroll, before we kick off the college and professional football season. We're going to be all over it. You're going to be able to find us. And all I tell you is, man, give us a shot for a couple of months, and I promise you're going to be in the plus side come around the holiday season. You're going to have a little pocket full of change hidden in the freezer or back outside underneath the lawnmower. It's going to be a good college and professional football season. You guys have yourself a wonderful weekend, and winner chicken dinner. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.